Hello everyone and welcome to the Bandit's Den. Spooky, scary, and chilling stuff, isn't it? The unfortunate thing is, those weren't stunt animals. Those were victims of the animal agriculture industry. And scenes like that are supported by animal agriculture supporters like yourself. You are the reason why that stuff happens. You know, and this video is to serve one purpose, to explain why I think veganism is the only way to stop this kind of stuff from happening. Why vegetarianism isn't enough. Why being plant-based isn't enough. Veganism is the only answer. All right, and I'll get into that. I'm gonna discuss with you guys what all those scenes were about, what was happening in them. All right, the first one was a pig being boiled alive. Somehow, down the line, it happens with a lot of pigs. Either they're not stunned properly in the gas chamber or by electrocution, or their throat wasn't slashed properly. They didn't get enough time to bleed out to death before entering that part of the facility where their dead body, supposed to be their dead body, gets boiled so that skinning them is easier mechanically, which is the scene after that. So that pig, the worker had no choice. They don't do the stunning. They don't do the slashing of the throat. They're the boiler. So they just lifted up the pig with the crane by its hind legs and dropped it in the boiling hot water alive. You know, certainly that worker would have got reprimanded if they tried to get that pig and bring it to the back of the line to get re-stunned and re-slashed and everything. I'm sure they would have got reprimanded for that. They had one job to do, and that's to boil the pigs. And so when they get ones that are still alive, they just drop them head first into a vat of boiling water and let them drown in boiling water to finish the job. You know, not only is it unethical to take someone's life needlessly when they don't want to die, but it also sucks that even further suffering is inflicted on quite a few of these. I wouldn't be surprised if every person watching this once ate a piece of bacon belonging to a pig that was stunned, had its throat slashed, and then died by boiling in water. I wouldn't be surprised if every single one of you ate a piece of bacon that came from a pig that went through that exact thing. And this is the stuff you're eating. Suffering and pain. Torment and terror. Awful, awful stuff. And reducitarians like to argue, oh, well, that kind of stuff wouldn't happen. That kind of stuff wouldn't happen if we all reduced and they didn't have to produce so many pigs to meet demand and slaughter so many pigs to meet demand. Well, the thing is, it's a business, all right? It's a goddamn business. If it was my business, I really wouldn't care. If I was so evil, I was making money off of killing billions of individuals every year, I wouldn't care if some of them, you know, drowned alive in a boiling vat of water. Either way, I'm getting paid however much per head. Either way, I'm making the same amount of money, no matter how they died. I wouldn't give a flying fuck if I was an evil person that owned an enterprise as terrible as that, you know, as terrible as a slaughterhouse. I wouldn't give a flying fuck. And so reducing how much is consumed doesn't change the fact that they are there to kill the pigs. It is a business, and they try to streamline it. And so it would ruin their business if every single one of these pigs that came to that part of the line alive was brought back instead of just being boiled alive. You know, they would be losing money. And every business is about streamlining and not losing money. So they really don't give a fuck. They don't care how little of the meat you consume. They don't care about that. They're still making money. They're still going to do stuff in as efficient of a way as possible without paying mind to whether or not the pig is suffering a lot or not. You know? They don't give a fuck. They're there to murder individuals. They don't care. If I was in the business of killing people, I wouldn't give a fuck how you died. I'm getting paid $10,000 a head anyways. All that matters to me is that you fucking die. Reducitarianism wouldn't do a goddamn thing about that. Alright? Then the next scene is, like I said, a pig's corpse being skinned mechanically. Very disturbing stuff to watch. Not much to talk about there. That's just the part after they get boiled alive. After that, it was a bunch of baby chicks getting thrown alive into a fucking meat grinder called a macerator. Google tells me I spell macerator wrong every fucking time and doesn't give me any suggestions. For some reason, you can't even use the word macerator, which is odd to me. But anyways, this is where vegetarians are fucked. Most vegetarians consume eggs. Alright? Sorry to tell you, but eggs aren't a vegetable in the first place. How can you possibly call yourself a vegetarian if you're eating eggs and cheese? That's so fucking weird to me. I never got that even as a kid, as an omnivore, as an adult omnivore. I never understood why. Why do vegetarians call themselves anything? Why don't they just say, I don't eat meat, but I'll eat everything else that comes from animals? You know, why don't they just say, oh, I don't eat meat? Why does it need a label? For virtue signaling? Well, just so you know, honey, you can't virtue signal to me because you're condemning all those baby chicks to death. What you consume directly results in all of those baby birds getting thrown into a meat grinder alive to be turned into your cat's food. And I guarantee a lot of vegetarian people out there have cats. And they're probably feeding their cats all those baby chicks that they sentenced to death. And they're paying for that too. They're paying for all of those macerated baby chickens. The reason those baby chickens end up in the macerator is because they're all males. They genetically modified those chickens so that the males are a different color than the females when they hatch. And so they dump all these hatched chickens onto a conveyor belt and workers sort them out by color. Those yellow ones are males. They go on one conveyor belt. White ones are females. They go on another. The females end up going to places like they showed on that Super Size Me 2, where he owned a bunch of fucking chickens, except they're not boiler chickens. They're egg-laying hens. Similar concept, though. You know, those free-range females, they end up being thrown on a floor in a warehouse, you know, like 16 of them to a square meter or something. You know, more than one per square foot. Shoulder to shoulder pretty much, wallowing around in each other's shit, pecking the fuck out of each other, all that fun stuff. Free range, woohoo! They never get to see the light of day until they're on their way to the slaughterhouse because they're not producing enough eggs anyways. They still don't get any fresh air. They still don't get to see the light of day. The only difference between free range and regular eggs is the cages. That's it. They're still indoors all the time. They still wallow around in their own shit. You know, they're still completely unhappy and extremely stressed out. They're just on the floor instead of in a cage. And they mill around and bump into each other constantly. But anyways, the male chicks end up on a conveyor belt, and the end of the line is that macerator to get turned into cat food. And vegetarians support this industry. You can't virtue signal to me. All you vegetarians, oh, you're a vegan? I'm like you. I'm a vegetarian. No. You are not like me. You don't give a fuck about animals. Either you care about saving face in front of people and sounding like a good person, or you're doing it for your health. We're not the same. I'm doing it for the animals. My health comes second, which of course a plant-based diet is potentially the healthiest diet that you can be on. But still, I didn't learn that until after I did this for the animals. I did this for the animals primarily, and I figured I'll worry about the health and shit after that, because I just can't do this anymore because I care so much about the animals. And now I do care about my health more than I used to, because not only have I grown the fuck up and I do care about my health more, but also I don't want to be one of those terrible example vegans, right? That looks like shit, is unhealthy, whatever. I want to be healthy, and I want to advocate for the animals. So anyways, here's another one. Being plant-based isn't fucking enough, because the next scene after the baby chickens was a sheep getting its throat slit. Oh, but what does a sheep having its throat slit have to do with plant-based people? You plant-based people are on a plant-based diet only for your health. Alright? A lot of plant-based people are fine with wearing wool products. Well, wool comes from sheep. And you know, sheep get old like anybody else and stop producing as much wool. And there is a certain point where wool farmers decide that it's not financially viable to keep a certain animal or a group of animals around anymore because they're not producing enough wool now that they're older. You're getting less wool for the same amount of feed every year. And so they take those older individuals to the slaughterhouse. Boom. And other people pay for mutton chops and stuff. You know, they pay for dead sheep that used to be in the wool industry. A wool farmer can't keep around a sheep that isn't producing enough wool. Financially, they just can't do it. And so they take them to a slaughterhouse. And this is the thing that blows my mind. There's a lot of smaller wool farmers. Their animals trust them and all this crap. And they load them up onto a trailer and take them to a slaughterhouse. Let me tell you a story, all right? I took Jelly to a vet years and years ago before I found this one. This vet over here is fucking awesome. I love them so much. But I took Jelly to this other vet over there years and years ago. And man, they're fucking idiots. And I was stupid enough to believe that they were cool and whatever, you know, to go with the flow. I was dumb enough to go with the flow with Jelly. And they said, oh, we're going to take her in the back and check on her. I was like, okay. And they brought her out, and she was all frantic after that. She was all frantic and freaking out and blah, all this stuff. And I was like, well, okay, so are we going to do the shots now? And they're like, oh, no, that's what we took her in the back to do. I'm like, you did? They're like, yeah. I was like, okay. And Jelly fucking hated me for like 2 weeks after that. The way she saw it is I gave her up to these strangers, and these strangers took her away from me, and I let them, and then they hurt her. That's how she saw it. She doesn't understand the concept of what a vaccination is. She didn't understand it was for her own good. I can't communicate that to her. What she understood was I fucking betrayed her because I let people take her away from me and then they hurt her. And she fucking remembered that shit. She was pissed at me for a while. And it just broke my fucking heart, dude. It hurt me so bad. Then here's another story about Jelly. After that, I refused to let anybody take Jelly away from me at the vet. So I was at another vet, and I figured, well, maybe not all vets want to take them in the back and give them shots. So there was a point at the checkup where they're like, okay, we're going to take her in the back now. I'm like, why? Why are you going to take her in the back? And they're like, oh, to check up on her. I'm like, yeah? Are you going to give her shots too? And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, no, you're not taking my dog in the back to give her shots. We're going to do it right here. And I'm going to be here while she gets her shot. And I told them the whole story of what happened before. They acted like I was an idiot. And then when they were ready to give Jelly the shot, the vet spun around real fast with the syringe like this, checked to make sure there's not an air bubble. Is like, here it comes, this is gonna hurt, and came into Jelly, and Jelly flipped the fuck out. She knew what the fuck was happening. She knew what was going on. And this woman was so asinine to turn around all fast and fucking warn Jelly, I'm gonna hurt the fuck out of you now, you know? But why? Why would this other vet doesn't do that? I'm getting pissed off just thinking about one of my animals' bad experiences at the vet. Why don't these farmers feel it that way? Not only that, but sheep are not too dissimilar from dogs. Maybe dogs are slightly smarter, but they still have a brain. They're still mammals. They still have feelings. They still have emotions, and they feel pain. Just imagine all those sheep, like that one you saw its throat getting cut. I've seen a lot of videos where smaller farmers just drive up with a trailer with a couple or maybe a few animals in the trailer, and they drop them off at the slaughterhouse. And these farmers had a much better relationship with their animals than a lot of these factory farmers, right? And they still take their animals to the same slaughterhouse. And I guarantee you these animals, because they got on the trailer willingly, you know, they trusted the farmer. They're like, okay, this guy has looked after me and given me food for the last 5 or 6 years. Yeah, sure, I'll get on the trailer, whatever. And then before they know it, they're being dropped off at this place. The farmer leaves. And then they get a couple electric diodes to the skull. And then before they know it, they're laying on the floor stunned. And some stranger is standing on top of them while another stranger is pulling their face back with a knife to slit their throat. I'm sure a lot of those sheep and a lot of all those animals are just laying there bleeding out thinking, where the fuck did my owner take me? Fucking betrayed me. Just like Jelly did when she got her shot and I let them take her in the back. She felt betrayed for quite some time after that. And I can't blame her because of the way she sees things. There is no way she can conceptualize what the fuck a vaccination is, or that it was for her own good. There's no way to tell her any of that stuff. She doesn't understand. All she understood was, I let strangers hurt her. And that's all these animals understand. That their master, the farmer, took them there, betrayed them, left them in the care of strangers who hurt them. And that betrayal just, on top of everything else those animals feel when they're being killed, and you're putting that in your body, I can't believe I put into that shit for so long. Then that last video, very sad video, it gives me the chills just thinking about it. That dog that was shaking uncontrollably and couldn't control itself whatsoever. You could see it in its eyes that it kind of understood what was going on and was shocked that it didn't have control over anything at all. That was the result of, I believe it's called 1080 or 1060 poisoning. And that poisoning is put out by farmers for fox, vixen, whatever. Foxes. You know, farmers put it out for foxes. And foxes suffer the exact same fate that dog suffered. Uncontrollable quaking and trembling for hours until you die. I can only imagine it feels like being electrocuted, just for a lot longer than it takes to electrocute you to kill you. Terrible, terrible stuff. You know, plant agriculture farmers don't have any problem with foxes. They don't give a shit about foxes. Because you know what foxes would do on a plant farm is they would eat up all the mice and stuff. They would eat all of them up and prevent a plague from happening, where the mice come and just destroy your crop. You know, foxes are beneficial to plant agriculture. Foxes don't mess with plant agriculture. They actually help it by eating the pest animals, I guess. You know, the animals that would cause damage to the crops, the foxes come and eat them all. So they're actually a good thing to have around in plant agriculture. The reason these farmers are killing the foxes is because they're coming by and eating their, you know, baby pigs or their chickens. That's the only reason. Because they have animals that the foxes want to eat, and so they want to kill the foxes. And because it's a tasteless, odorless, practically invisible chemical, dogs get into it fairly frequently, and they suffer the same consequences as foxes do. What you saw in that video. And the farmers don't care. They keep using that poison, whether it kills their dogs in that terrible, violent way or not. Because they want to make money off of killing other individuals. They're killing individuals that live in the wild. They're killing their own dogs in order to raise and kill more individuals that they want to make money off of raising and killing. It's just like, it's the worst thing ever. You know, like they say, if all of this in that video is God's will, then I guess Satan's on vacation because God's people are doing all of his work for him already. Terrible, evil, demonic shit is what's going on in the animal agriculture industry. You know, so you guys think about that, especially you people sending me fucking emails about how it's God's will. Are you sure you're worshiping the correct God? Well, you guys have a good one. Go vegan. It's the only way to world peace. Seriously. Peace for all, including animals. Because we're not any better than them. We just invented some stupid machines and shit. Just to make our lives easier. That's the only difference between us and them. Is the fact that we built a bunch of stuff to make our lives easier. That's it. Anyways, you guys have a good one. I love you all. I hope some of you go vegan. Because for me, I wouldn't ever have it any other way. Now that I'm vegan. And it breaks my heart, seriously, the shit I used to pay for. And a lot of times I was proud to pay for that stuff, and I was proud to eat a lot of meat because I bought into all this societal bullshit, all this indoctrination. Oh, to be a man, you have to eat meat. You don't have manlyhood if you don't eat rotting corpses. Ugh, I eat meat. Yeah, come on, man. A lot of people who think that, I have bigger muscles than them just eating beans and rice. Fucking pussies. You think it makes you a man to beat up on defenseless fucking animals? Fucking bitch. Anyways, before I get too angry and stop being so peaceful, I'm gonna let you guys go. Yeah. That video at the beginning isn't meant for entertainment. It's meant for shock value to show you what really goes on in those industries that you support. That's what really goes on. It's not meant to be funny or exciting. It's terrible fucking shit. And if you found it to be exhilarating to watch, or you thought it was funny or interesting, then you're a sick fuck and you need psychiatric help. you're probably one of those kids that abused animals as a child, you know? Fucked up. Anyways, miss you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one, alright? Yeah, there will be more. Later.